Let's kick it off going to Meta. Let's talk about it. Investors aren't impressed. You weren't with some of the aspects of this report either, were you?
No, we're really worried about their strategy diffusion. Every quarter we come out and he's gone into competition with somebody new. So he's now designing chips, which competes with NVIDIA. His glasses have been trying to take Apple's hegemony away from devices. And he's doing search and he's doing commerce, so against Amazon. And now he says he's going to compete with Microsoft because he's going to do enterprise agents. So he just keeps doing more and more and against guys that are incumbents that are equally well capitalized.
Do you think he should, in the words of Jerome Powell, stick to his knitting and stick to advertising?
I think he should decide where to bet the farm and go do that better than anybody.
Where should he do that?
So I would guess that it starts with his really unique access to 3 billion people a day through his family of apps, and go and do something consumer facing that basically Microsoft can't follow him into. Amazon's completely enterprise. There's a lot of enterprise players. Why go compete there? Which is what he said yesterday he's going to go do. He's going to go into the enterprise business, saying it's a new muscle for us. Why are you developing a new muscle?
I don't get that. I just don't get that. Is that a sign of desperation? Listen, you cover media. You know about jumping the shark. Is that what this is, Laura?
I think he sees opportunities everywhere. And I think he's got really clever engineers and they want to work on interesting problems. So I think that's what's going on. I do think that he's not wrong. There's an opportunity, but it's just too diffuse.
For the past 20 years, Microsoft has done a really good job of positioning itself as a company that is going after productivity, right? I think of Meta as like the anti-productivity. Like, you don't go on Instagram to get work done. You go on Instagram to get away from work.
This is why I take his phone away from him, Laura.
It is a time suck. This stuff is a time suck. I mean, there are pieces of hardware you can buy to lock yourself out of Instagram because it is so addicting. How does it get rid of that label and then go after companies that want to use this for productivity? How does it do that?
So, he hasn't said what he's going to introduce as productivity tools. I think he's thinking WhatsApp and having small and medium businesses do more communications. He's got a subscription product now on WhatsApp for businesses. I think that's the kind of enterprise he's thinking of, not so much, leisure time. Like what you're talking about is consumer leisure time, which as AI does more and more functions faster, we are going to have more leisure time. There will be more windows of time that consumer can spend money against. So his consumer business is really interesting. He's talking about super intelligent agents for each of us, custom. Like no one else is talking about that. That's super interesting if he can execute that. But there's going to be an increase in leisure time, and he's already sitting there, to your point about wasting time.
Okay. All right. Should we move on?
I don't know if I'm ready.
Are you ready to move on?
Okay, I'm ready. We can move on.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Warner Brothers Discovery. Why are we here at this point? And do you ultimately believe this deal is going to get done, Laura? How long have we been talking to you about this? A while, a year, I feel like.
It feels like a year. I think it's less, but it feels like a year.
Yeah, a little bit less.
So the answer is, I think two things. One, hubris definitely comes to mind. I think the Ellisons thought that since they had Donald Trump behind them, that was enough. In the US, turned out it's not enough. I would say the second main point is, essentially this is politically motivated because there was almost no oversight. And these are important issues to consider. The unions in Hollywood really don't want this because there's going to be $6 billion of layoffs. That's what Paramount has said. And also just from a political point of view, the Democratic states are like, no. If the Republicans won't review this, we will. And the only, redress they have is to do 12 states get together, all Democratic, and basically sue to block the deal. So I'm not sure how much this is really a problem of, I think they'll get through the courts. It's just going to delay the deal by a year, which is going to cost them $650 million a quarter after September. It's going to be really expensive for a peace guy.
Yeah. Is there any chance Netflix comes in? Like, do they have an opportunity or no? Am I crazy?
I just don't know if they can get through the Trump administration. I think
Okay.
Trump and the senior Ellison have a deal, wink, wink, nod, nod.
Hmm.
So even though it could probably get through the states, I don't know that it could get through the FCC. So political sort of gatekeepers here.
Laura, what is going on with Netflix? Shares down 45% from those highs of June 30th of last year, so a little over a year. You've got a buy rating at $120 price target. It's trading at about $73 a share. I remember in October at Screen Time last year, you were a little concerned about Netflix. What's going on with Netflix?
Do you remember we were sitting there
Yeah.
and you guys interviewed him on stage? You're like, we're not going to buy Warner Brothers. And within 2 months, they had a bid for Warner Brothers. We're like, wait a minute. Did all of us just hear the same thing opposite of what they just did? We were all scratching our heads.
What is going on with Netflix right now?
Right. So I think what's going on is this, that like essentially they've commoditized entertainment. And so now what's going on is they're going to have to keep buying more live sports. Like you just saw, they did the women's, I think the NBA for the women's, WNBA. So they're going to have to keep buying live sports. And ultimately, they are going to need to compete in every line item and genre that not only YouTube does, but Disney does and Warner Brothers does. And they're going to have to go into the film business because there's just so much money in films, especially these world building films like Odyssey or Oppenheimer, because you can have spinoffs. And it sort of guarantees audience and it guarantees first look on your streaming service. So I think the returns on capital are now finished in the US, and the US is going to get more expensive, and all your growth is coming from offshore, which have lower ARPUs, and they're not disclosing. Now they took away engagement from us. Every quarter they take away some kind of valuation metric that we can use to value them properly. So that hurts their valuation.
All right, 20 seconds. Who could they buy? Who should they buy? If they can't,
When Comcast spins off into its studio, they should buy Universal Studios. They still need to do the deal they couldn't get done with Warner Brothers.